So the New York Jets are reportedly trying to sign former Packers wide receivers Allen Lazard and Randall Cobb, and that can only mean one thing. It seems we are very, very close to hearing an announcement about Aaron Rodgers being traded to the New York Jets. Jets are actively working to reach an agreement with Packers free agent wide receiver Allen Lazard, per league sources. There is another team involved and no final decision, but the Jets are trying to reunite Lazard and offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett. And then a couple hours later, another report came out saying, with the Jets closing in on a deal for wide receiver Allen Lazard, another wide receiver expected to be on their radar in the coming days of free agency is Packers veteran Randall Cobb, per league sources. So like I said, this can mean only one thing. Aaron Rodgers wants Allen Lazard and wants Randall Cobb on the New York Jets when he gets traded there. There might be also some other players that he wants the Jets to sign, like Robert Tonyan or Mercedes Lewis. And honestly, it's one of those things that kind of annoyed me recently with Aaron Rodgers. Whenever he was on the team, it was like, okay, we need to have these veteran guys on the team. And I'm not saying those players weren't good additions to the team, say bringing back Randall Cobb for 1 year or having Mercedes Lewis on the team. But I feel like it was always Aaron Rodgers holding the team hostage. Like, okay, we need to have this guy or else I'm not going to be here. It kind of doesn't make sense to me. And that's why going forward into this season, even if they were to keep Aaron Rodgers, I always thought they need to go younger at wide receiver. Randall Cobb, I love Randall Cobb, but I don't think he has much left in the tank, and I think the Packers need to go younger at slot wide receiver. So now that he's potentially getting traded to the Jets, and we're seeing the Jets already fall victim to, okay, let's just sign whoever Aaron Rodgers wants because we want Aaron Rodgers on their team. And I get it. That's what Woody Johnson and Joe Douglas are going to do because it's their best shot at a Super Bowl. But I'm not going to lie, if Aaron Rodgers is indeed traded, I'm kind of happy that that's all over. And don't get me wrong, I do believe Allen Lazard is a good receiver. I think he's one of the best run-blocking wide receivers in the NFL. He's a good possession wide receiver. He's come up clutch multiple third downs, but I feel like he was going to price his way out of Green Bay to begin with. So now that the Jets want to bring him to New York when they inevitably trade for Aaron Rodgers, there's no way the Packers are going to be able to retain him anyways. He had 169 receptions, 2,236 yards, and 20 touchdowns in his career here in Green Bay. Last year was his best season with 60 receptions, 788 yards, and 6 touchdowns. This last season, he was the number 1 wide receiver after the Green Bay Packers traded Davante Adams and never really lived up to that. Not that we're going to see him replace what we're used to with Davante Adams, but I did kind of expect him to maybe get closer to 1,000 yards, and he didn't exactly do that. He had some drop issues last year, and then about over a month ago, a report came out that he wanted somewhere between $15 and $16 million annually. I think that was him trying to inflate his market a little bit. I don't think the Jets by any means are going to give him that money, but I do believe he'll get right around $10 to $12 million from the Jets. And even at that number, I just don't see it a plausible contract for Allen Lazard. For Allen Lazard, I would say around $6 to $7 million maximum. And at this point right now, like I said, I think the Packers should just go younger at wide receiver, moving on to Jordan Love, going to next year with Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, maybe sign another veteran, and then draft 1 or 2 wide receivers in this draft. And then as for Randall Cobb, I mean, I loved every moment that he was a Green Bay Packer. Again, I'm not hating on Randall Cobb by any means when I say I think the Packers should go younger at wide receiver. I mean, so many great moments with Randall Cobb, especially against the Chicago Bears. So it will be sad to see him go to another team, but we've been through this before. And if he goes to the Jets, you know, it's whatever. Like I said, I want the Packers to go younger at slot wide receiver. I'm sure it'll be somewhere near a veteran minimum with the New York Jets. But again, if Aaron Rodgers is there and wants Randall Cobb, the Packers obviously going to have no chance at retaining him. Another thing to note about all of this is the Jets have a pretty loaded wide receiver room if they add Allen Lazard and Randall Cobb. They'll have Corey Davis on the roster, who they may have to cut due to bring in all of these guys, because he's due $11.1 million in salary cap hit, and if they were to cut him, they'd save $10.5 million of that. So be on the lookout for a potential even trade package with Corey Davis being shipped to the Green Bay Packers, say in a trade, because then that would allow them to free up, $10.5 million, sign Allen Lazard, sign Randall Cobb, get Aaron Rodgers on the team. So be on the lookout for that. Another player, obviously, Elijah Moore, who hasn't really fit in their team so far. And then if you go back a couple years even before that, Denzel Mims. So there's going to be 3 receivers on the Jets that, in my opinion, one of them could definitely be included in a trade package and sent over to Green Bay for Aaron Rodgers. And although Corey Davis is kind of a similar similar wide receiver to Allen Lazard, never topped the 1,000 yards in his career. I would be okay with this. I think a new contract would have to be worked out or restructured or some sort of thing, because like I said, his cap hit would be $10.5 million, which I don't know if he's necessarily worth that. Like I said, he's kind of right around that same mark as Allen Lazard, maybe $7 to $8 million annually. I would definitely be more on board with Elijah Moore. I mean, he was just drafted a couple of years ago. I really liked him coming out of Ole Miss, and he's a true slot wide receiver, and the Packers really need that. He's only 23 years old, and he would only really cost $1.5 million for this year and next year. And he's been really underutilized there in New York. Only 538 yards his rookie season, and then last year 446 yards, and it seemed like he really couldn't get on the field. And I think that was a lot due to their offensive coordinator at the time, Mike LaFleur, who's gone now. But I think if it was my choice saying, okay, what wide receiver would you want in a trade package with Aaron Rodgers from the New York Jets, it would be Elijah Moore. And obviously, we're all just sitting here waiting for this Aaron Rodgers news, but it's becoming more likely and closer and closer, in my opinion, especially if the Jets are going out trying to sign Allen Lazard and Randall Cobb. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is on the Pat McAfee show today, but who knows if that's what he wanted to wait for to give his own decision. Okay, I'm still playing football in 2023, and I'm bringing my talents to New Jersey. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Obviously, we're all waiting for this. All the updates for Aaron Rodgers will be right here on the channel, so if you are new, please consider going down and clicking that subscribe button. But I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Pack Go.